And you know what? One of the big problems that I see in the industry is when condominium boards are looking for a new policy or looking for new insurance, they rely too heavily on the property manager. Now, I'm not trying to put property managers down, but they're not experts or knowledgeable enough to advise what policy the board should basically go with, right? Usually they have somebody that they've worked with for years, they have trust built up, and they'll go to the broker and be like, hey, I have this condo, can you give us a quote on a policy?
Yeah.
And then what happens is the board just reviews it, they fully trust the property manager, which, you know, they should trust a property manager because that person is providing them information and guiding them in the right direction. However, they don't really know the ins and outs of the policy. And most times, the property manager doesn't know either, right? They just rely on whatever the broker provides.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about this? Because this is a huge problem that people have to be aware of. And like, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but you know, you said it's a legal binding contract, so there is a liability. Not only the property manager is liable, but also the board on making the wrong decision, right? So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Right, and you know, I understand, and you know, property managers are not insurance experts. And on the surface, the policy can look the same, or the property manager can have their own personal bias as, you know, they don't need that. I've had property managers tell me, I've seen corporations that have $800,000, you know, money in their operating fund and their reserve fund, and the property manager told me, you know, they don't need that, because they require dual signatures on their checks, or, you know, they have tight financial controls. So, you know, that's never going to happen to them. So they don't take the coverage. You know, crime coverage is $1,000, $1,200 a month. I mean, it varies. If it's a small condominium, it's a lot smaller. But, you know, let's say 100 unit condominium, you know, $1,000 coverage for crime to protect those funds from fraudulent activities. And they don't take the coverage, and it would have cost the unit owners, you know, $10 a year for that coverage. And if their funds do disappear or there's fraudulent activity, you know, the unit owners are going to get a loss assessment for $8,000 to rebuild that reserve fund and those operating expenses to meet their capital expenditures.